Finger guns.
Yeah.
Hey, Shooter McGavin? Were you a big fan of like the Billy Madison movie, Blake?
Of course.
Happy Gilmore, I meant. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Shooter McGavin. I was watching Ballers. Are you familiar with that series with The Rock?
No.
It's kind of like Entourage. Wahlberg was the producer of both of them, so it kind of has a similar vibe, but it's about Dwayne Johnson, a retired Hall of Fame football player. And like they're kind of managing current players, and they're handling their money, and kind of managing careers, and now they're getting into like purchasing teams and going into Vegas, moving the Raiders and whatnot. But anyway, Shooter McGavin, he's kind of like the Texas guy when they're having the owners meetings, trying to convince them to let them purchase the property and do a no bid, where the city isn't on the hook, having to pay billions of dollars for the new stadium, privately financed. But Shooter McGavin character, he's kind of like the Jerry Jones Dallas Cowboys owner, sort of. I think that's what it is. But yeah,
oh, he's the actor in there.
Yeah, he's the. I don't even know the guy's name, but it's such an iconic role. Have you heard that they're going to be doing a sequel? I heard there's a sequel on the way for Happy.
I didn't know that was a movie. So it's not a series; it's a movie.
So Ballers is a series, but I was saying that Happy Gilmore is slated to get a sequel, like 25 years later.
Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore. It was a great movie, man.
Well, it was a great movie, but now Carl Weathers has passed away. All right, well whatever.
He'll literally be up, because those scenes with Carl Weathers, and it keeps going up into the clouds, and it's got Abraham Lincoln and the
I guess he died in the show, right? Yeah, I guess he would. Okay, I guess it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, so that's on its way. But welcome everybody. I was doing the hello guns, the Shooter McGavin. Anya, thanks for joining us today. This is Tuesday, April 30, 2024, and this is the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. Yes, now they're the low ballers. Do they hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Remember all those weird songs you used to learn in elementary school? Anyway, I digress. But this is the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I recommend the series Ballers. It's pretty cool. Today on our program, we're going to be talking about the Time magazine cover. Did they title it appropriately? Or kind of my initial instinct is that what it should have gone with? We'll talk about it. And also, don't be fooled by the fake one that has the M over with the horns. That's just been digitally altered. So don't share that. That's not real. Just a little FYI. Because when you don't share dumb shit, it makes you seem less dumb. So, we meet here a couple times a week to sort out what's what. That's one of them. Also, we're going to talk about new contempt charges against President Trump. Is he going to end up reminding you of a certain person? What is that? The something effect? Or the Berenstain Bears? What's that called? The something effect? We'll talk about. Not the butterfly effect. We'll get into it. But is Trump on the same collision course, running from prison? We'll see how that shakes out. Also, did the deep state set up Trump with declassified document dump? That's a fun little slant rhyme. I feel like that's something Eminem would twist into a bar of lyrics. Eminem has the new album on the way as well. It may be insufferably political, but we'll find out. But yeah, did the deep state set up Trump? I mean, we've kind of been thinking it for a long time, but this latest thing with Mar-a-Lago and documents, you won't believe what they've been hiding. Also, should we borrow from Bukele and investigate D.C. for bribery and corruption? Also, campus protests. Should they be stopped, or should they be escalated and expanded? Also, should the protesters be rewarded and coddled, or should they be rounded up and deported? Also, who should be on campus to deter further protesters? Some bouncers, some campus security, or some pew-pews up at the top of rooftops? I don't know. Blake's got a story about it. Also, should Congress pass speech laws banning criticism of certain places? If you want to know who rules you, find out who you're not allowed to criticize. We'll talk about it. And finally, who has a death grip on the United States government? Here's a little hint. Those last 4 or 5 stories may or may not be related. So we are going to get into today's show. I want to thank everybody watching, including Kenneth. thank you, by the way. I saw what you sent over. Appreciate you, sir. Please leave your comments. We try to incorporate your comments, your thoughts, your jokes. And if we're getting a story wrong, or if there's some important context, or if there's a link to, like, share that. Like, this is an interactive program. I in some ways, I wish we were just talking to 30 million people a day. And then in other ways, I love the fact that we have regulars. It's almost like bartending, Blake. Did you always work in Vegas? Because Blake and I have both been bartenders. Did you always work the Speedwell? I know you said that was kind of where you settled in, but I love the fact working a place and you have your regulars that come in, and it's like several times a week you see the same people over and over and you have ongoing conversations. Blake, were you ever like a bartender at a place where you had all your regulars, or just turn and burn, the tickets are chirping through and you're just smashing out volume in the casino?
I'd rather turn and burn. I liked dealing with tourists. Yes, having new clientele every week. Even in LA, when I finally got secured a job at the 69th floor of the US Bank Tower, the Sky Center, that was also a touristy place. So I don't like hanging out with regulars, especially not in Vegas, because regulars in Vegas means they're degenerate gamblers that sit at the bar and lose all their money playing poker, which is fine. I'm not, no judging. This is no judging. But I loved my bartending gigs in Vegas. I liked doing all of it. Didn't matter. But yes, I think my specialty was probably just, speed. Someone's got to rock the well and make the drinks, and then you get other guys, probably like Brian, who like to schmooze and chit chat while I do all the work behind them. But that's okay. I like to carry the team. I like to be the workhorse. It's all good.
Yeah, and it is a team effort. In this whole liberty movement, it's easy. We just want better lives for our friends, our families, ourselves, our country, our states, our cities. We just want things to be better. And it gets a little overwhelming at times, but at the end of the day, there are many people playing different roles. We don't have to play quarterback and defensive end on the same team. We don't have to be the kicker and the punter. We don't have to be the head coach making all these large scale decisions, micro versus macro. It is a team effort. So yeah, you got the people in the well sitting down and crushing it, turning and burn. Then you got people pontificating and kind of blurring the lines a little bit, shades of gray, and you're a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But yeah, we appreciate all of you on the team who are leaving your comments. Breakback, barback. Yeah, barback was a tough gig, but the barbacks, man, they would make as much as the bartenders. They'd each get tipped out 20%. And it's like when you'd have 8 or 9 bartenders, 20% times 9, like they're making double what the bartender.
Well, I don't know where you get 9 people in a bar, but yeah, one barback. Maybe not quite. Not quite. Hey, barbacks made pretty damn good money in Vegas, but to think that they make just as much money is simply not true. I had to be a barback for 1 year. That was like a rule in Vegas. It was a union gig, and you had to be a barback for 1 year, go to class, do your 144 hours of training, and then you could get promoted to bartender. It would make good money, don't get me wrong. But no. Yeah, you get cut. Depending on the bartender, you might get 10%, 20%. Maybe 3 bartenders. I don't know. And sometimes if there was 9 bartenders, you're probably going to have 2 or 3 barbacks. I don't know.
Yeah, I've worked so many different. Blake and I working in catering as well. I mean, every time you show up at a new place is a different set of circumstances, a different set of payouts, tip outs, expectations, etc. But yeah, I just remember I would play poker with the barback in college, and we worked uptown, downtown. It was 2 different bars, and he'd be changing the kegs and this and that. And I mean, he'd make more than the bartenders because everybody gives him 1/5 of what they made, but 1/5 times anyway. So yeah. It is a team effort. Thank you to everyone who's linked up with us. Make sure you're connected with us. It's more important now than ever that our team, our TNAM team for the New American Media, that we are connected outside of just these live shows. So follow Blake. You can get him on X when X is cooperating. He's at TV's BLAKE. WALLEY and thenextlevelnews.com. The New American Media is thenewamericanmedia.com. It's that is our homepage that I have been meaning to update. I updated slightly a week or 2 ago, and I keep meaning to get. I just don't use it. It's an extra step. On Instagram, I turn and burn the stories. I'm working the Speedwell. On X, I'm working the Speedwell. I'm turning and burning. On this one, it's a Tuesday afternoon at 2:00, and there's 3 people at the bar. I'm going to spend some time with the 3 people because we have time. I think the turn and burn is perfect for X. On X, we are at American_media_. On Facebook, what we have is the Agree to Disagree show. It's what was it? TNAM's The Agree to Disagree show. It's a private group, and that's just an ongoing conversation with regulars over there. Rumble, we replicate and duplicate the shows, so go on Rumble. We need 49 more subscribers so that we can stream the show onto that platform live. So please get Rumble if you don't have it, because youtube.com/@the-new-American-media, 1,400 videos over 13 years. Please subscribe, but they're deleting some stuff. They don't like when you use the V word. We're going to, oh, wait, where was that one? That AstraZeneca is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's in there, Brian. Yeah, check it out. Let's get rolling here pretty soon here.
I know. I'm wrapping it up.
Right, 8 different channels to promote. And he's got to give you an explanation for each one. So, okay.
I do.
We'll get the Jeopardy music rolling.
So get us on Facebook, TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show, Instagram, The Agree to Disagree Show, Spotify podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, and Truth Social, The New American Media. Find us in all these places, because we cannot trust that any one of these places will allow us to be here next week. What up, Bigfoot Soft Watch? I expected that to be Sasquatch, but that's Soft Wash. Bigfoot Soft Wash. Howdy. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's jump into today's topics, shall we? All right, Blake, have you seen the cover of Time magazine? I saw it and had an instant reaction, and then checked some of the comments. I'm like, oh, wait, it's trending. Oh, everybody is feeling the same thing that we are. On the Time magazine cover, it says, if he wins, and it's a picture of Donald John Trump. But the question is, Blake, should that read when he wins? What say you?
Well, no, according to them, yeah, it's if he wins, and I don't trust the election process enough to say definitively that he's definitely going to win. He should win if it was a normal, transparent, election with integrity. Yes, I absolutely think he's got the numbers on his side. I think all the polls reflect that. But we saw the polls reflect Carrie Lake was going to win by 11 points in Arizona. Everybody knew she was going to win. She had all the popularity. We saw all the Trump rallies. We knew Trump was going to win in 2020. But somehow we have shenanigans. Late night, stopping voting, all these, I think 20% of the mail-in ballots, I think they've said now, are possibly under suspicion. So, no, if we could actually go through and make sure that every vote was legitimate, came from a real person who wanted to vote, and it's their signature, and they showed ID, and they lived in that state, then yes, Trump wins.
Yeah. I would agree as well. I think that is, I was having a conversation yesterday, day before, and I said, I got this really bad feeling. The only reason they would keep Biden propped up there, he's unlikable, he's unelectable. We've never seen anything this bad out of the White House. We've never seen it. The only way they're running him is because they know that it's in the bag, that they have a way to subtract the votes from Trump and add enough votes for Biden to make it look like he pulled out another unbelievable Hail Mary against all odds. Just a miracle, really. So I do have concern there, but then I was listening to Scott Adams this morning while I was working in the garage, and I heard his theory is that look at the bench, Blake. Look at the Democrats' bench. Everyone they have, from Schumer to Pelosi, they're north of 70. Everybody in a Democrat party that has any weight, any talent, and I'm not saying these are good people. I'm just saying they're talented politicians. They're all on the way out. These are people ready to be termed out or phased out as they leave this realm, this earthly realm. Scott was contending that the Democrats had no other option in 2024 than to run Biden. What do you think is more likely? The fact that Biden survived this long is signaling that the fix is in, or just the Democrats really have no stars and their trial balloon of Gavin Newsom flopped gloriously? If you were guessing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a combination of the three. I've called that out for a long time, saying they don't have anybody else to run. They're out of superstars. They had Bill Clinton. I think they wanted to get Anthony Weiner, but he got destroyed by Andrew Breitbart. And yeah, nobody else is ready yet. Yes, Gavin Newsom is not as popular as they think, and California's a disaster. And Michelle Obama does not want to run for whatever reasons. We're not going to speculate, but that's really all they have. And of course, Hillary's got too many health issues. I mean, if they could run Obama for a third term, they would. But since that's technically not doable, then they're going to have to roll out that Joe Biden.
But you can do a third term by proxy, which is what a lot of people say is happening here. I was at the dentist yesterday, and person cleaning my teeth, and they're talking about how much corruption is. We're kind of dancing around it because you don't like to talk politics in polite company, I guess, because the Democrats have us scared that common sense people can't have common sense conversations about common sense topics, or else we're extreme. So fuck them. I'll have these conversations anyway. But yeah, I mean, everything about this, she was saying, oh, it's corrupt. I'm like, look, this isn't Joe Biden. This is what she said specifically was, I had hope for Obama. I said, I didn't. I got my mouth full of something like I didn't. I said, I didn't vote for him, but, you do the swish and wash and you wash it. I'm like, I didn't vote for the guy, but if it was going to cause some sort of healing across the country, if it meant some things to some people in some sort of way, then I guess that could be good. I go, but it's been the exact opposite. It's been nothing but a train wreck since he's come into office. It's been more divisive and more weaponized than we've ever seen. But this is the third and most honest Barack Hussein Obama term, because now he's doing it by proxy. It's like the war that the United States was trying to get into in Syria in the proxy war against Russia. It's like the war in Ukraine by proxy against Russia. Rendition in Northern Africa. We're not torturing. We're just paying the people that are. The Five Eyes. We're not spying. We're just coordinating with the people that are. Like everything is by proxy. By the way, I just wanted to share this here on time. This is the fake version of the story. It's got the devil horns. You've seen this time and time again, pardon the pun. But the real version does not have it directly looking like that. This is from Brian Cates. You should probably follow him. He's a good Twitter follow. But yeah, here's the original. Yeah, but it's not if he wins, it's when he wins. And I just said when he wins. Oh, I think I had a tweet about it. I don't need to repeat it. I mean, unless I could find it, and I can't. But yeah, it's interesting that he's getting the front page treatment, and I think that's good because they've tried demonizing him. They've tried ignoring him. None of this stuff has worked in the primaries. Hasn't happened now since he's destroyed the Republican opponents to become the nominee. You can't ignore him. Here he is. So anyway, if he wins, when he wins, we will keep our eyes on that. Also, Blake, this is developing as well. Would you agree or disagree that contempt charges against President Trump are valid? Judge Merchan has now issued contempt charges against President Trump. It's very interesting because he can have his opinions and his daughter can have her opinions, and they can fundraise and have all of the thoughts that they want, but they're trying to silence him in a country where we're supposed to have a First Amendment right to freedom of speech. What say you, sir?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree because this is just a show trial on some stupid business thing that they're trying to manufacture a mountain out of a molehill and trying to take it seriously. At least they've let Trump out to go see his son graduate on May 17th. So that was nice. But other than that, yeah, they're forcing it. There's just election interference, forcing it to be there in a trial that is really much to do about nothing against a former president. So it's pretty audacious and ridiculous, and it's being hoisted up by these activists that are basically for the Democrats, prosecutor and the judge. It's needs to stop.
Yeah, it's beyond insane, and I think as we're going to get to that Mar-a-Lago story about documents perhaps being planted on Trump, and who knew that those documents were in their possession in the first place before they forced them to be delivered, almost as if, oh, look what we found on your computer hard drive. Sure, you did. The easiest stuff in the world to plant. It's reaching a point where the Florida Attorney General has to indict the people that are framing Trump. They're trying to take away his civil liberties. They're trying to imprison him. They're trying to take away his Secret Service detail. They're trying to have him assassinated. So there's no way around this. You have to fight fire with fire in the opinions of some people. And many are waiting. When will Bragg be charged? When will Letitia James be charged? Go down the list. Fannie Willis, Jack. But this here reporting is from Laura Loomer saying, breaking today, Judge Juan Merchan ordered President Trump to pay $9,000 fine to the court for contempt by Friday, May 3rd, for violating his gag order. Merchan has also ordered both President Trump and his campaign to delete 9 Truth Social posts in total, 7 from President Trump's personal Truth Social account, and 2 from the campaign Truth Social account by 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time today, April 30th. In the order, Judge Merchan also threatened President Trump with arrest if he doesn't comply, Blake. They're threatening to cage him, to imprison him, to capture him, and throw him into a cage. So this brings up the next question. Do you agree or disagree that President Trump will likely end up winning the 2024 election like Mandela from prison? What say you?
No, I don't think there's any way they can possibly put him in prison. So nothing. They tried to do this. Oh, he's got 91 charges, blah, blah, blah. But all of these cases have all been a joke. So is this put on by, this is a sideshow from the activist Democrats. And it's just their desperation that they can't go after him for anything legitimate. So they're just trying to manufacture outrage. It's not working. And this is, I guess, their last hope. And it's all ado about, whether they paid off an old porn star with hush money, and whether that was a business expense or a campaign expense. Big fucking deal. And this is like from 2006, and then he ran from 2016, and now they're trying to make it like it's a big hot issue in 2024. No, it's not. So no way he's going to go to serve any prison time over something this ridiculous.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it seems like President Trump is kind of egging him on, like, go ahead, go for it. Let me just read a couple of these comments here on the Twitter feed. Once again, we are at American_media_, and Blake is at TV's Blake Walley. Mueller, she wrote, posted, honestly, the judge basically forcing Trump to attend Barron's graduation is probably worse for him than the 9,000 in contempt fines. Sitting through those.
Why are you retweeting that crazy lady? She got totally exposed.
It was a funny tweet.
A total whack job. Yeah. Total like left-wing activist. Yeah. She's bad. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, sometimes they get stuff right, but.
Perhaps. Yeah. I just thought it was funny because sitting through graduations are pretty tedious. Right. Also, Viva Frey, this is a good account as well, saying that the corrupt judge whose daughter is raking in millions of dollars for herself and for her clients, Adam Schiff and other Democrat political action committees, has found Trump to be in contempt for posting that the judge's daughter is raking in millions of dollars both for herself and for her clients, Adam Schiff and the other Democrat political action committees. I mean, Blake, the family connection to millions of fundraising dollars on Let's Go Get Trump is so blatant. I don't know how someone can't step in and remove this judge and throw this case away. I don't know why we're forced to sit through all of this stuff. It's blatantly political. It's blatantly a kangaroo court. Is it just the Supreme Court? I don't know if there's a state Supreme Court element that could step in here, but they're now warning. This is another post here from Adam Klasfeld. In his written order holding Trump in contempt, a Manhattan judge warns that the former president that an incarceratory punishment could follow further violations. So, I mean, that's their goal. They want to throw him into a cage. Anyway, keeping on that same topic, Blake, let's roll to this one because we'll see how that shakes out. But oh my Lord, deep state set up Trump with declassified document dump. What say you? Would you agree or disagree that the deep state set up Trump with this document dump?
I'm going to say agree. I don't even know, 100% of the entire story yet, but it was always as skeptical of it when it first came out, that bogus picture showing like classified documents just thrown all over the floor. So we'll dig into this one. I know, Brian, you tweeted this at me or tagged me on this from Julie Kelly. Well, I'm sure we never heard this part of the classified document story. More from the unredacted motions in Florida. It's an unsealed transcript of a witness interview. FBI says the GSA was holding large quantity of Trump's boxes in Virginia and then ordered his team to come get them. So I don't know exactly what to make of this. GSA approximately had 6 pallets of items that were stored in Virginia. There was a time limit. They contacted the office of Trump 45 to inform them that they have to go. Someone had to pick them up or they had to be shipped, something to that effect. I don't know. So when he had to, basically vacate the White House for old Joe and then run to Mar-a-Lago, had to pack up all of his stuff, and there was these documents. I don't know exactly how it all ties together, but going back here to the Gateway Pundit, and says it was all a setup. New evidence is affirming the deep state sent documents to Mar-a-Lago just deliberately to set up Trump. So here's the picture I'm talking about. They're acting like stuff was just strewn around, and it was ridiculous. President Trump shared last week he believes the FBI stole his will and testament, which is bad news. Why don't they return that?
Crap, they stole his will.
Right. FBI also stole 1,800 other items that were not documents that belonged to Trump. This was not lawful or necessary. Imagine if this happened to Obama and how outraged people would be, and they should be outraged. Even I would be outraged. But I mean, you can't do this to former presidents in this country. This is not a banana republic, although they seem like they're acting like it. So it's also widely known at this point that Joe Biden ordered the FBI access to Trump's documents at Mar-a-Lago and to go through Trump's personal belongings. That was Judge Cannon revealed that it was Joe Biden who ordered the FBI access. The incumbent requested by the incumbent president. Even though it was shown later that Joe Biden had tons of classified documents that he wasn't allowed to even have, because that was before he was even president, whereas Trump had the authority to declassify his own documents.
And by the way, let's just be crystal clear here. This one that I have, let me just pop this one up since it's what I'll give you the screen in a second. But yeah, we're talking about Biden, we're talking about GSA, we're talking about Trump. So this what Post says, they entrapped Trump. And special counselor Jack Smith, who is said to use felony extortion and was not confirmed by the Senate, is hiding who his protectors and witnesses are. Kash Patel says that Judge Cannon unseals DOJ documents that Jack Smith's band of miscreants redacted, showing Biden's GSA possessed boxes of 45's papers before they shipped them to Mar-a-Lago. So it was Biden's GSA that had the boxes, then they shipped them over to Trump's house. So translation, government gangsters possessed classified docs, shipped them to 45, then charged him because they became illegal in transit. Another Department of Justice FBI rig job, just like Russiagate. Congress, where are the flipping subpoenas? And it's just, where is the punishment for these people, Blake? That's the part that so many people are having a problem with. This is clear election interference. We heard nothing but lies about Russian interference, Putin puppet, Trump's a puppet, Trump election interference. But this is actual election interference because the Democrats almost always project what it is that they are and what it is that they are doing to other people. Do we have to wait for Jack Smith to be indicted? Where is the Florida DA, the Florida Attorney General? Where is somebody from the Supreme Court, anybody that can call this out for what it is? because it's just escalating, Blake. It just seems like nobody's willing to step in and be the adult here.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's maddening, and I'm surprised it took this long for us to even hear anything about this. So this is kind of, yes, the latest breaking news on this one, but feels like this should have been known a long time ago. But it was always suspicious, and the way that they tried to conduct this raid and to try to, make it look like Trump was engaged in some kind of, criminal activity, and it was, yeah, heavy-handed and ridiculous. It should be blowing up, and they should be tossing these cases out, or at least flipping the script and investigating Biden and the FBI for what they've been doing here. Somebody has to have an answer for this.
Somebody has to be held accountable for this. Brian Cates once again saying this is reading like the GSA had 6 pallets of boxes stored in Virginia. They tell Trump's team to come get them. Who packed these boxes? Where did they come from? What was in them? Who decided what to put in the boxes? These 6 pallets of boxes ended up at Mar-a-Lago? Then who packed them and stored them in Virginia becomes very important. If some of the boxes stored on these 6 pallets ends up being seized in the FBI raid in August of 2022. And items seized from these 6 pallets provided the basis for some of Special Counsel Jack Smith's classified documents indictment. So, Blake, I just can't believe we've been covering this story for this long, and we're only now finding out that the documents they claim to be frustrated that they don't have were in their possession in the first place, and who knows what was packaged along with those. There's that Simpsons episode where they buy something in China and it shows where they're packaging it, and they sneeze into the package and it shows all the germs, and they package it up, zip it, and mail it. Then the flu comes and everybody gets sick. It's like you have no idea what was put into that box and by whom and for what purpose, and then who tips them off, and then who goes after that same exact material that you sent over in the first place and steals President Trump's will in the process. I'm telling you, man, like this is the worst corruption I have ever seen out of the United States. I don't just mean this one particular frame attempt, this one particular setup. I mean all of this go get Trump stuff, because I don't know. I still don't understand what it is that they hate about Trump so much, other than he's not in their gang. He's not in their club. He's actually trying to run the place like a businessman would, like a CEO of a country or a company would. So anyway, Joe's docks collecting oil under his vet. Yeah, Kenneth. I mean, Hunter and all the hookers that he's had in and out of that place. Just classified documents from him as a VP or as a senator. I mean, he had no business having any of those. But then he's bragging on tape with his documentarian where they're working on a book. He's bragging about all the classified documents that he has. It's Biden's hubris that should take him out, take him down legally. But we're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for the attorney generals and district attorneys, rather, to go ahead and finally push some charges on him. Rick Norman saying, isn't the governor of a state the boss of the state DA? I'm wondering what Ron DeSantis is doing with that.
Well, that's DeSantis, and then you got Catherine Hochul, the hideous Hochul of New York. So I don't expect her to do anything against the DA. I mean, he's being tried in New York, so I don't know. If it was in Florida, it might be a different story.
Right. All right. Do you have anything else to add on this one before we bounce to the next?
Nope.
All right. Let's go to the next story here. And this is a stunning admission. This is something that's coming out, I don't know, way too late. Surprising. And it's something that got a lot of us censored, shadow banned, deleted for discussing from the beginning. So, Blake, we've heard those terms safe and effective, and I am the science, says Fauci. And there was no gain of function and every other thing that we've heard. But what about this one? Do you believe, agree, disagree that AstraZeneca should be sued for rushing an experimental vaccine? What say you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
By the way, before you dig in, let me just say, go to cdc.gov/vaccines. To get countervailing views Go to cisa.gov/rumor control about election stuff, and who.int and cdc.gov/vaccines. So you can have countervailing views there. Didn't matter. YouTube took our video down anyway because something about vaccines was discussed, that they're AI bots. And once again, their AI bots are just a way to offshore your dirty work and pretend that you're not doing it. Piss off. Every time you take something down, you should have a human have to review it. And that stuff should be overturned. When you don't overturn it, it shows that you're not doing that and you're offloading your dirty work to somebody else. So screw you, YouTube. But that's why it's so important to find us in all of the places, including patreon.com/the New American Media. Blake, let's discuss AstraZeneca. Something recently came out in a court case, and my Lord, shouldn't this have been made public from the start?
Well, yeah, people should have been skeptical from the start, but people were jumping into this. It was bizarre to me to see it happen, and then the Democrats came in later and were trying to, force this on everybody. And people and countries all over the planet were doing this. Some were heavy-handed some more heavy-handed than others. So I'll just run in here. So AstraZeneca, and yes, I had one of my YouTube channels taken down from that. I've lost some videos from that. I've been punished, a lot of strikes, a lot of censorship involved, just trying to get the word out on this, try to speak some common sense, hopefully, or some voice of reason for this weird development where we just started freaking out over this COVID thing that wasn't really shown to be as dangerous as they thought. No more say than the annual flu. Of course, again, check the CDC. I don't want to get this channel taken down again either. Because of that, they tended to really flip out over that. Very protective of their big pharma racket. But when people should have just had free choice, and people should have that right. I don't care if people want to take the vaccine. You just shouldn't be coerced into it. And they should, tell you right up front. We don't know exactly how this might affect everybody.
And there were two problems, Blake. There were two problems with that. Number one, yes, they lied about how effective it was. They lied about side effects. And they tried to gaslight people and said, look, every medicine has side effects. Every medicine you're not really going to understand until it's been out for a while. But number two, the people that, I'm friends with people that really do have certain degrees of Trump derangement syndrome, and they blame Trump for being a pharmaceutical pimp, and he's responsible, and he rushed an experimental vaccine. It's like, don't get it twisted. President Trump put the option out there for people to try medical treatments that may or may not, there's a degree of uncertainty, and that should be up to the human. President Trump also pushed legislation earlier in his term. I believe they call it the right to try. And it was, look, if you're at the end of the line, doctors have said you have X amount you should have the right to try experimental vaccines if you decide you would like to participate. Throw a Hail Mary instead of letting the clock run out. Well, they're 60 yards away. I mean, there's no way they're going to score 6 points in 3 seconds. Yes, there's always a way. A hook and ladder, a reverse, a flea flicker, a lateral. Like, it could be anything. You have the right to try. And all President Trump did was trust the science with Fauci and said, look, this thing's been put out there. Here's an option if you want. And remember what President Trump said. He said hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin D. He was talking about these things, and he got demonized for not being the pharmaceutical pimp. So don't get it twisted that President Trump's to blame here. He allowed people to make a choice. The problem I have, Blake, is when perfectly viable therapeutic options were available. You had monoclonal antibodies that were being proven to be very effective against certain strains. That's a fact. You had some people having great success, reportedly, from ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, Z-Pak, vitamin D, different. We don't know, so we're all allowed to have open and fair conversations, YouTube Meta. We're all allowed to talk about this stuff because we're adults and you're not our goddamn parents. You don't get to crack us on the wrist with a fucking ruler when we're discussing a topic that, how dare we? We're out of our depth. Well, get out of our depth. We can talk about what we want, and I will not let somebody piss on my leg and tell me that it's raining. I will not be silenced. I will not be intimidated into putting something inside my body that I'm not fully cognizant and comprehensive of. I don't have the comprehensive understanding about what the ramifications may or may not be. Fuck you to anybody who's trying to censor us, because look what AstraZeneca just came out with. Look what they're talking about. But they had to cudgel it. Cudgel it. What word am I looking for? They had to hedge their bets by adding the word rare side effect. Yeah, maybe. But look, you can't ban something to say, well, there's no emergency use authorization on these vaccines unless there's no therapeutic options. That's how this stuff shook out, Blake. They had to claim that hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin D, Z-Pak, that none of these were effective in any way. So that led to the FDA saying, you're not horses, y'all. Come on, seriously. Don't take this stuff. They were forced to apologize and retract that because they were blaming all the things that could have helped people, that could have saved fucking lives. So if you want to have experimental emergency use authorization for experimental or new vaccines that we don't have 3-4 decades of testing to fully understand the vast ramifications of taking it, well, allow that without the demonization campaign that cost I don't know how many people loved ones that are never coming back. But by demonizing perfectly viable options that could have provided some degree of therapeutic assistance to people in urgent need, to lie and say this is 100% effective is criminal, and heads should roll. People should be indicted and jailed for this malfeasance of justice. The pandemic was one thing, and the reaction to it was yet another. Kenneth saying FDA stands for FDEM Americans. Yeah, pretty much. Blake, final thoughts on this one? It's like, no shit, there might be side effects, but they lied about it for 4 fucking years. And here we are. Oh, finally, April 30, 2024. Oh, there might be some rare side effects. Oh, you fucking think? Oh my God, really? There might be some rare side effects. Fuck the people that have been trying to keep us from learning the truth of this situation from the jump. It's so aggravating, Blake.
Yeah, no, I know. We paid a price for that. And yeah, the kids had it right away. It was the clot shots. That's what it is. This is the TTS. They're saying these they had to admit in court documents as part of a class action suit. The COVID vaccine can cause thrombosis, or TTS for short. So syndrome. It's a rare medical condition when a person suffers from blood clots. Anyways, yes, a lot of people lost loved ones in this, and it was pretty devastating. And they forced it a lot of people. I wonder how many of those people were worried they won't be able to keep their jobs or support their families unless they took this experimental jab. But yes, it's a big tragedy, and we're going to be paying the price for years to come. And AstraZeneca and these companies deserve to be sued for this. So it's risk reward.
And so do Fauci, and so does the FBA and the WHO, the people that have been lying intentional. It's okay if in the fog of war, because look, in any war, we don't have the information. We don't understand. Everything is propaganda. Like during COVID, we don't know what's going on. We're trying to suss out what's likely, what's unlikely, what's true, what's false, what's verifiable, and what's just conjecture, hearsay, and just wild theories. You only get to the answer by allowing a free and open discord. If you silence people, and once again, I'm so appreciative of what Elon Musk did to at least give us one viable platform with reach. I know Blake's having problems on X. Follow him at TV's Blake Walley. Follow the New American Media at American_media_. But thank you to Elon Musk for seizing control of X. Because, yeah, we're on Telegram. We're on Signal. We're on all these other sites, but nothing has the reach like Twitter. And I'm just so grateful that we can share reality now outside of a Meta Google platform that openly and and uses using malice and hostility, censors people that are trying to do the science of figuring out right from wrong every single day. There is no settled science. There's no such term. There is no such thing as, oh no, we got that figured out. Earth's flat, Earth's round, Earth's flat, Earth's round. Eggs are good, eggs are bad, eggs are good, eggs are bad. Cholesterol bad, cholesterol good. Who the fuck knows? We've been told so many things our entire lives. There's a bias that comes from seeing somebody in a position of authority telling us what we're supposed to think, whether it's someone in a suit. You know, I'm the Brett Baer robot on Fox. Listen to what I say. I tell truth. He just looks like a robot would look if I made a robot telecaster. I like Brett. He's okay. But nothing against him personally. But whether we're listening to the person on television, whether we're listening to the expert at the head of the thing, whether we're listening to a teacher, somebody at work who's setting policy, somebody at you're trying to get on an airplane and they're saying, oh, you can't do this unless you take that and you must be tested for this. There's a bias against people in positions of power, but that doesn't make what the people in those positions of power say. That doesn't make what they're saying accurate. And here we are yet again, something that would have gotten you deleted off of social media 2-3 years ago. Court ruling, obviously, no shit Sherlock moment, rare side effects. Because every medicine has a side effect. Everything. Anyway. Okay. So that's a huge story. And it has a massive significance, Blake.
Right.
And this may be the first domino to fall. This may be one of many similar, like you said, class action suits as the information's revealed. It's okay to come out with a product that you inject and tell us, look, here's a list of side effects, and you write it in English, and maybe your doctor is forced to tell you, look, here's 10 things that could happen. But they run you out there. Nope, totally safe, totally effective. Well, that's used car salesman bullshit. And I'm an adult that doesn't need to tolerate that. And if this is a government that's run for us, by us, that shit has got to stop, and people have to be held accountable. Yeah, asshole Zeneca. Okay, that's a good one, Ken. That might be one of your better ones. Not AstraZeneca, asshole Zeneca, for lying about what their product is. It's okay that they're sided. Oh, you get into our new Chevy Camaro, 0 to 90 in 0.0 seconds. Oh, it's so good. By the way, caution, driving a vehicle may result in a car crash that could result in physical harm. No shit. I'm still going to buy it. So anyway, just be honest in what you're selling us. I hate how this whole COVID thing played out. And at least the AstraZeneca story is out for us to know about. Okay. That being said, let's now talk about another topic. But we're going to stay on with the bribery and corruption. It just seems like a theme these days. So many of our shows are about bribery and corruption. Here's another.
Okay.
Blake with the haircut, by the way. I mentioned it earlier. I forgot to say something. How you feeling? I mean, like you used to have like the shoulder length. I mean, it was vastly different. Look at that, looking fresh for the summer. Feeling good?
This has been my predominant haircut from about 16 to about, 40 for the most part. I only grew my hair out after COVID, and I couldn't go to the barber shops. And I just decided to run with it. So, but now we're changing course. I do like it kind of in between. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, but this is more like how it's. This is classic Blake in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah, I've kind of had a very similar haircut for a while. I don't know. A few weeks in, I'm getting ready to maybe just give it a quick once over. I usually go every 6 to 8 weeks, but I'm trying to make it more every 4 to 5 weeks. Just keep it crisp, keep it tidy. Because, man, I can go mountain man real quick. Roll up the flannel sleeves and just, what's up, Jack? You know, it's like if I turned the corner and approached you in a dark alley, you would jump because my beard can get scraggly and this can get unkempt real quick. But looking good. Just wanted to mention. Right. I know you had to duck out and get that haircut last week. Looking good. Bravo. Okay. On a non-haircut related story, Blake, agree or disagree that we should borrow from Bukele and investigate DC for bribery and corruption.
Yes, 100% agree. This is something that they need to do in Washington. I think everybody would agree once they see this video. Brian, have you seen it?
You will have to pull it up and let's take a look.
All right. Well, it's going to be in Spanish, so I will. It does have subtitles, so everyone can read it. We're going to run old 2 minutes.
Let me pull the subtitles off of the screen here. There we go. Now it's easier to read. Okay.
Okay, let's check this out. From yes, this is the Bitcoin haven, El Salvador, who has cracked down on MS-13 gangs. One of the most dangerous countries in the world is now one of the most safe, and it's because of this man right here.
Fun fact, Blake.
Yeah.
I almost went to that country, and I almost planned on staying in that country. Story for another day. But yeah, it was a lot dicier several years ago. But look, this guy and Javier Milei, they have a budget surplus for the first time in I don't know how many years, how many decades. All you have to do is do it. There's nothing complicated about all of this stuff. Arrest the violent crazies and stop spending shit you don't have, and just it's done. It's so easy to run a country, unless you're a monster, unless you're a corruptocrat. All right, so let's.
Well, it could be. There's been some good people that have tried to run some of these South American countries that have been taken out by the CIA, probably.
So who are the good guys and who are the bad guys?
I don't even know about this Malay. Malay has been under fire lately, so I think people are starting to turn on him. I don't know. It's a complicated issue for another day, but this
is the Malay thing because of a little bit of inflation and because a lot of that inflation was inherited. Is that like the devaluing of the? Is that what
there's a few things? There's a few red flags. People are starting to wonder about if he was just deceptive from the beginning. I don't know. I'm not going there. Again, this is Bukele's day. So let's talk about him because he is legit and he's been there for years. He has been a big part of cleaning out that whole country. And yes, it's also was making Bitcoin a legal tender. There's a lot of positives here. And he just put his whole executive branch here on notice. So we'll check this out. Brian, just stop wherever you want. Let me know. Here we go.
How long is the clip, by the way? Is that 2 minutes?
2 minutes and 19 seconds.
Okay. So I will wave my hand and say something when I'm ready for a pause.
Well, okay, interrupt wherever. Okay.
Como pueden ver ustedes todos, los que estamos aquí reunidos son parte del Ejecutivo, del órgano ejecutivo, que es del cual yo estoy encargado, a excepción de una persona. Es el fiscal general que está aquí. Él no es del Ejecutivo. Y está acá por una razón bien sencilla. Y es porque le quiero pedir en público de que...
For the people listening on our Spotify podcast, by the way, subscribe the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify. Oh, and we did get, by the way, I did have John Odermatt check, and we'll be bringing John on for an upcoming episode. We'll got another buddy, Adam Boyd, coming on. He's bicycling across the 13 colonies, drinking beers and raising awareness for the upcoming. Well, we'll talk about all that. But John was saying we can get our podcast on Apple. I didn't know if that was actually a thing, but it is. We just
of course you can.
Spotify.
I thought it would be automatic, but if not, you'll have to manually insert it.
Yeah, but he said it's up on Apple. Whatever we're doing gets it on Apple. I said that's good because I've tried.
It's automatic usually. Okay, Brian. Yeah, he's new to this. All right.
Well, I've tried to connect the Apple whatever ID account and I've tried to connect it 20 times manually and it hasn't. So it is available. But what I was going to just try to say is a recap. We're listening to Spanish for like 25 seconds. He's just saying that everybody there.
It's executive branch, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of people there, and I don't know, maybe 30 people in this room, maybe more. And yes, everyone basically there except for the Attorney General. Well, I'll spoil the surprise, but let's just run into it since people aren't going to be able to understand it. The podcast people aren't going to be able to hear it. But he's going to invest everyone in that room for corruption.
Ooh, let's hear. Investigate everyone sitting here.
Except for the Attorney General, who's got to be the one to investigate everybody.
Wow. Investiguemos a todos los que están acá. Para atrás y para adelante.
Retroactively and into the future.
Yo me imagino que pues no hay ningún problema, ¿no?
course, he says that there should be no problem with that for everybody. Why would there be?
Hay una persona que me dijo una vez, mire, tú no le temes a la muerte. Yo le dije, no, pues claro, nadie se quiere morir.
Go back to that guy real quick. I was trying to gauge when he says we're going to investigate everybody. Look at this guy with arms crossed. You don't have to be a huge body language expert to know that arms crossed in a suit, because you're so constricted in a suit with the shoulders, your limited mobility. This guy is going out of his way to project. I mean, Blake, look at that body language. That is not happy at all. I would investigate that guy, number one. Holy shit. He's like radiating squiggle lines from the Peanuts cartoons.
Yeah, perhaps. So, Brian, I don't know if I should just run this. Maybe I should just read it off of here. He goes into, about not wanting to die. Death is not the one thing none of us can escape from. But in 100 years, none of us will still be here. Nobody's sitting here. And it's very unlikely that people know who their grandfather's father was. But the one thing that he does fear is leaving a bad legacy. And he says that there are some presidents, some that are in prison, some are on the run, but most will be remembered as criminals. And of course, he's talking about El Salvador. But he says that's not how he wants to be remembered, so he doesn't steal. And so because he doesn't want to be remembered as a criminal or as corrupt, and he's even talking about previous President Duarte, people back then used to say the president isn't a thief, but he surrounded himself with thieves. So a lot of people criticize some of the people around Trump, that they were snakes.
Well, that's very fair. I mean, what do you think the batting average could have possibly been when you rely on the experts, but 85% of the experts are rotten to the core? Yeah, I mean, of course, he made some choices that seem to be terrible in hindsight, but you just hope Trump's second term, if he wins, when he wins, that he'll be smart enough to not make several of those same mistakes again. And maybe in the past 4 years, he's figured out some people that he can actually trust, and that some of those people surrounding him will be better in his second administration. It can't get worse, it seems like. So, yeah, surrounding yourself with thieves, that's not good.
Right. So that's one thing, to either be a thief or to surround yourself by thieves, but either way, it'll tarnish your legacy. And so there was a time where he offered hope for the Salvadoran people, but even if he didn't steal, he was foolish because he was surrounded himself with thieves. So Bukele is saying that won't happen to me. So I won't be the president that didn't steal, but was surrounded by criminals. He says, I want to be remembered to be the president who didn't steal and didn't let anyone else steal either. And the one who put whoever stole in prison. There are a couple who are already there. Anyway, that's the end of it. So calling out his entire executive staff there. Imagine if Biden did that and got all those people around him, 30, 40 people, and said the same thing. Or Trump said the same thing. I would love to see this. So people are, very happy to, we should borrow a page from Bukele and do the same thing here in the United States.
Oh, Blake, there was that hopium that people were pushing. Oh, look, trust the plan. It's all part of the plan. No, see, Trump wants to lose. No. They want them to make all the decisions, so then they're all going to be.
Como pueden ver ustedes todos.
Yeah, sorry, that was an accident.
Oh, okay. It did throw me off. What the hell was I going with that? About
calling everybody up.
Yeah. Some people saying, "Oh, well, Trump, there can't be a what are they calling it? A tour, a vengeance tour or retaliation tour." It's like, well, holy shit! If you don't hold these people accountable, I mean, these agencies that have gone completely reckless, rogue, and all in on the communist Marxist deep state, pro-Democrat, you absolutely, you need to look everyone you need to investigate everyone in every system that has failed us over the past 10, 15 years. It's never been more clear who's been weaponized and more than happy to go in on it since Obama took the reins of power somehow in 2008. The people responsible, man, have they gotten cocky, Blake. Maybe they've always been cocky, but they've really overstepped their bounds and gone and done stuff that is so blatantly, obviously corrupt. I mean, day one, President Trump has to, a couple executive orders to fix some border stuff and fix some common sense policy decisions to reroute some stuff. Oh my God, he must go after the people responsible, and the people responsible are everywhere. But it must be rooted out in this country. It has to be, because we're the reason the New American Media logo is now an upside down flag instead of a regular flag is because we have become a nation in distress. It has never been more obvious. It's never been more urgent than it is right now. I mean, we're running out of air and we're submerged. We have to do something right now to put this back on track, or else, the ship is running into the land, and it's just everything's going to collapse at that point. So, yeah, I really want to see that as well. Okay, so we will follow that. I mean, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I mean, who knew? There was a special election in California, Blake. I don't know. It's not in our stack, but people could take a look. I guess they needed 500,000 ballots, signatures, but they ended up with 1 million or 1.5 million, something like that, to change that California law that basically legalized crime, where they said, we're not going to arrest people unless, they're stealing $1,000, $1,001 worth of stuff. Otherwise, there's no crime. People are now turning on the wackadoos. People are turning on the traitors, because we're sensing that time is running out. If we don't correct what's rotting our cities, what's rotting some of our states, and what's rotting DC, there's going to be nothing left to salvage. So, yeah, it's so easy to round up the bad guys if you want to. You just have to want to. So, yeah, Kenneth's saying becoming Americant. Well, from Americant to, here's another one. They say Israel. They call Israel isn't real. Israel will be turned into was real. Oh, yeah. It's the epicenter of all things protest these days, and it is the subject of our next 5 topics. So let's switch from Americant to isn't real, was real, and we'll discuss some of that, shall we? Here we go.
All right.
All right. Well, here we are. Americant to isn't real or was real. All right, here we go. Blake, do you agree or disagree that we should stop campus protests by any means necessary? Agree or disagree? We should stop campus protest. That seems very specifically worded there, Blake. What say you?
Right. Well, that's interesting, but it's something that Trump said. So I'm curious. I think people are curious. I think, David Icke is also curious. Hello, Nimbus. That's
yes,
Brian's
Nimbus
cat there saying hello.
Russian blue. He's a sweet man in his advanced age. He's mellowing out a little, but he does like to nibble and bite. So if I jump or yelp, forgive him, for he knows not what he does.
It's all good.
He's like the Tootsie Roll owl. He's like 1, 2, 3, 3. He's like pet, 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 chomp. So you always got to be careful.
Yeah, you never quite know. Sometimes he's so sweet, and then then he can turn on you, but then he'll come back and he'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
That's Nimbus.
But yeah, he's a little tricky, but he's quite the character. All right. Well, speaking of quite the character, we got a couple of them there. We got David Icke and Donald John Trump here. Well, so I would disagree. We should stop campus protests by any means necessary, because that could involve some pretty awful stuff. So I'm just in favor of, weeding out the bad protesters, the ones that are causing trouble, and let the peaceful people do what they got to do. But yeah, this is curious, because David Icke is even pointing this out. Why does Trump say this? Here's the quote from Donald Trump. This is on Truth Social, where he just says in all caps, "Stop the protests now." Okay, why and what does that mean exactly? How do we want to stop them? This is a bit disturbing to me. And David Icke is saying, why did he say this? Why did he give Israel virtually everything it wanted during his presidency, including moving the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem? Why does Elon Musk jump on a plane when Israel summons him and retweets Netanyahu condemning the protests as like 1930s Germany? And according to David Icke, he says because Israel owns them, it's a psyop people, and so many people are falling for it. I'm not saying
you mentioned a point there. Let me ask.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the embassy be in Jerusalem? Why did it take President Trump to finally do that? Everybody else said they were going to do it. Back to Bush Jr., Clinton, Obama. They all said they were going to, and at the end, none of them did. It's like, why not?
Well, I don't even see that being that significant anyway. Yeah, probably a minor detail on there, but that's something that he said. I don't know, but it is curious also that Trump met with DeSantis supposedly in a quest for donors and then calls for protests to be shut down one day later. So this was interesting to see. I don't know exactly the whole purpose of the meeting, but if he's trying to get Ronnie D to be the AG, perhaps that could be one reason.
I like when Trump and Ronnie D are friends. I really disliked that phase where I was disappointed and frustrated and probably angry at Ronnie D for what I felt was probably betraying President Trump at a time when he should have been helping circle the wagons to protect him from arrows. He was out there shooting them, like trying to compete against him. It's like, bro, if they can run through Trump, they're going to destroy you. You have to defend Trump if you want to have any future in politics. Because if they get away with what they're trying to get away with, there is no Ron DeSantis term ever that's not going to be completely destroyed by these same criminals. So I love having Ronnie D back where he belongs in Florida kicking ass. I'm really happy about that. I'm happy that they are allegedly meeting and they're going to team up and help each other instead of competing against each other. It's like all is right in the world on that one particular front. Those two are peanut butter and jelly. They need to stay together. I really disliked when they were going to break up. That divorce, that was hitting me hard, man. That divorce. Woo.
Yeah, no, I got you. I would like to see that too. Everyone on the same page. So they did have a meeting, and they said it was arranged by pro-Israel investor Steve Witkoff. And that right after the meeting, Trump decided to call out this, stopping the protests. And he says he's very happy to have the full enthusiastic support of Ron DeSantis. We had a great meeting arranged by their friend Steve Witkoff. The conversation mostly concerned about how we would closely work together to make America great again, the future of Florida, and I greatly appreciate Ron's support in taking back our country from the worst president of the United States. And there we go. So I don't know. So I don't know if these things are connected or not.
Well, let me just say, calling the guy who sets the meeting up, what did they call him in that post? A pro-Israel guy? Was that the phrase that they used? I mean, was that Trump's only tweet of the day was to stop like he goes?
I don't know about that. Yeah.
Like if he puts out 100 tweets and you identify and go, well, this guy's pro-Israel, and look what he said. He said, stop the protest. I don't know. That strikes me as a little disingenuous. If that was all Trump tweeted for the weekend, it'd be a little weird. But, he puts 200 things out a day sometimes. It's like, I don't know. Maybe that's a little cherry picking is my hunch.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
But it's also, curious. What does he mean by shutting off the protests? Why does he care so much? I don't know if these are connected or not, but it is a curiosity. So we can move along.
Watching the videos for the past week or two, I mean, you don't have to go very far to see videos from many different campuses that need to be shut down. Like whatever this is has to be shut down. It's not that the act of protesting, you're in the student commons, you got some drums and you're playing some hand drums and you're doing a chant and you're singing and you got some signs and you got some media there and you're doing your thing. It's another when, you're seeing the violence, you're seeing people being blockaded, seeing people trying to push past borders. You're seeing like violent acts, aggressive acts, threatening acts. All of that stuff should obviously be shut down, but that's past protest. That's riot. That's into riot territory.
Well, yeah, it's different because there's so many campuses and some have more issues than others. So it's hard to say.
But it's not hard to say that the presidents of these universities need to get their shit under control and not like the inmates run the asylum. When you got things getting out of control like this, you work to resolve it. You don't let them take over. And like USC canceled their commencement. They canceled their commencement because they're scared of their protesters. I don't know. How about get some fucking control of your goddamn campus? How about get the people in that need to whatever needs to be done to peacefully arrest all of the people that are threatening and causing a situation where there's not a safe campus to have a commencement on. That needs to be done. All of it. Because you saw what Chop and Chaz, when they take, we're an autonomous zone, man. Like, you look at what happened in Seattle, what happened in Portland, what happened in DC. Go around to the shit shows of 2020, 2021. And look at what happens if you allow the broken window theory to just sit there. Yeah, well, they're just threatening. Yeah, they're just, I don't know, they're spray painting statues again. They're throwing headgear and breaking pieces off of statues on Benjamin Franklin and Penn. You're seeing all sorts of weird stuff. Well, all that shit needs to stop. And canceling commencement because you're scared of some protesters, get the police in. Get some damn control of your fucking campus. So when you say stop the protest, I can easily look at that and go, yeah, stop whatever is causing you to back down like a wimp and not even have a commencement ceremony at USC. So whatever that's called, stop that. Stop acquiescing to the terrorists, to the people threatening you, the people trying to strong arm, bully, intimidate. Screw those people. You can protest and say your piece. Your piece can't threaten and it can't get up in people's faces. It can't blockade them. It can't kidnap them. It can't force their free flow of, coming and going. You're allowed to go wherever the hell you want on campus. And when people are blocking that, those are arrestable opportunities. And the campuses need to really get some control there. So, yeah, I'm all for protest, but not riots. Get a grip on your
right. Not all of them have, and some of them they're getting pretty heavy-handed. I think this goes both ways. Yeah, there's probably some terrible people that are causing the issues that have to be removed, and then there's some where they're just peacefully protesting, and then they're cracking down on them anyway.
Well, that's if we're getting the full story from a 10-second clip. I mean, the whole United States was set on fire because we saw a couple of minutes from a cop with his knee on the top of a guy's back. You didn't see the video of him complaining of I can't breathe in his car at the initial traffic stop. You didn't see him get arrested and put into the back of a cop car and wiggle his way out onto the street where they try to just keep him from just to hold him in a spot. Nobody saw that. So we're getting brief clips and it's like, well, is there brazen police brutality or are we not seeing the video from 10 seconds before? We always have to be cautious of this stuff, of demonizing too much and of not having the correct context for the situations that we're either praising or calling out as being brutal. I don't know. I think important context is needed in all of these cases.
Right. So, but I mean, let's take a quick look at this. Here's Luke Radowski saying the protest will go from here. And you see these innocent people, do they deserve to be arrested? I don't know. So when they're going to go heavy-handed authoritarian style, it's going to blow up.
Real quick, can you full screen that and tell me where is this at? What campus?
I don't know exactly even what this is, where this is from specifically. I just pulled this up out of my favorites, but it's an interesting point.
What's showing? This was getting arrested. Well, we're watching a guy in blue.
So were these people all impeding something, committing violence? That's unclear. But we have, there are obviously students that are out of control, or there are paid agitators that could be on these campuses causing problems. We don't know. There's all kinds of videos from there's so many of them, so it's hard to sort it all out. But videos are showing brazen police brutality across U.S. universities, and it might be at the demand of
Israel. An arrest there. I didn't see any brazen police. I saw an arrest of a lot.
Well, there's been other video. That's just one thing. That's not even connected to this article, Brian. I'm not even going there. I'm just saying that we could go on both sides all day and look at it. There's multiple different angles. Some are where it looks like, yes, the protesters are getting too uppity and causing problems and terrorizing people. And then it looks like on some other campuses, it looks like they're totally peaceful, and yet the police are cracking down on them anyway. And this was also, announced here by Bibi Netanyahu, saying that he had to stop these. And some of it is, false equivalence. Some of it is saying, disingenuously, like, these are, pro-Hamas people. And it's aggravating for me to see that from some of the people, even that I respect on the right, to make those false comparisons.
Well, hang on a second. But if you're calling it a false comparison, I believe I shared with you a video of a woman who was yelling at some Jews and says,
right,
"We are Hamas. I am Hamas. We're all Hamas." Like this isn't fake. This is real.
Sure.
This is what's happening. And to be pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas, hey, they just butchered 1,000 people. We're for them. Oh, you're for them? Good for you. We're Hamas. We're all Hamas. Oh, okay. I mean, that's not fake. It's not like that's not the sentiment that's occurring right now. I mean, you're getting frustrated by it, but like, this is them. This is who they are. This is what they believe.
Okay, well, that's one person, Brian. And here's what I even wrote to you, because you said this. You said, we are all Hamas. This one lady. I don't know where it was from. Hold on.
Let's play that clip real quick.
Okay.
If you could full screen that. Because we're going to get all sorts of videos with all different sorts of perspectives for sure.
Keep it moving.
We are Hamas!
You're Hamas, wow. That's a good one. You're what? You're Hamas?
Yes, we're all Hamas, pig! I'm Hamas! That's you! Get our face! No!
And that is what
so there's an angry lady with the facial wrap of somebody who's been dehumanized in a Muslim country to not be allowed to show your face, yelling at someone who has an Israel flag on their back. We are all Hamas, you pig.
Okay, well, Brian, I hear you. So
what's happening all across the colleges. I mean, this is what's happening, Blake.
Okay.
The anger at the Jews, the hatred.
Okay, well, that is certainly one lady, right? One lady. I don't know if that's a college student. I don't know where that's from either, Brian. I don't know if you know. I'm sure. Yeah, hey, she's a disturbing person. I wouldn't obviously endorse that. And I even said that because you were asking me about this, contending that these protesters are not Hamas. Does this change my opinion? And I said, well, you cherry picked one lady. How would that change my opinion? Is she the new leader of the movement? And is it also possible that she's astroturfed? You never responded to this, but it could be. It could be that she's fake. And it could be that, why is she the leader? Why should I care about this? Why would this change my opinion?
Because you said it wasn't happening. I'm like, yeah, this is what.
No, I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm saying
that is shaking off like a flea does. It's like a dog shaking off water. Like they want to shake Israel off into the water, get rid of them on that continent by any means necessary. We're back to the any means necessary.
Sure, Hamas. Yeah, fuck Hamas. I don't care about Hamas. They can all be purged. I don't even think a lot of Palestinians like Hamas. So, but to say that these people are pro-Hamas, or that the people on these campuses.
How could you back Hamas after the butchery that they did a couple months ago? Like I just don't understand how this organic movement. It's the same BLM people that were doing this 4 years ago in the last election cycle.
I don't think that's true. I think it's very much like
a new hat. Here's a new slogan. Here's a new pin. Here's a new flyer. Go do the same thing. Rah, 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 rah. We run these streets. We run these schools. Okay. Cool.
Well, I would strongly disagree with that. That these they're all AstroTurf from the very beginning. I don't believe that at all. This is just normal. This has been going on in colleges for decades. It's they're protesting for peace. This is just the latest example. But yeah, they are going to be hijacked by the radical Democrats at some point, just like Occupy.
Hold on. How is a protest for peace supporting the people that declared the war? That doesn't make sense to me. Hamas went and butchered their neighbors.
But they're not celebrating Hamas. They're against genocide of these people that are getting slaughtered. There's 30,000. Even if you don't believe the numbers, 20,000. How many civilians that have been slaughtered in these carpet bombings? These heavy-handed tactics.
I don't know what's heavy-handed about defending yourself, but we talk about this and we have our opinions. I get it. But what was your response to what we said in that tweet? How did you respond? You said it didn't change your mind. Why
would it? Why would it? One lady, that was like on the streets of New York or something. That wasn't on a campus. Maybe it was. I don't know exactly what it was. I don't even care because it's one person. So it's not the leader of the group, as far as I know, as far as you know. So why would that change my opinion? Just because one lady out of all of the protests going on all over the country, one lady says, yeah, we're all Hamas. Like, no, we're not. She doesn't speak for everybody. Flip side, Blake, why would that change my opinion?
Well, on the flip side, Blake, you don't seriously believe that there's only one lady that is backing Hamas.
No, of course not. But
of course not. It's a huge component.
I don't see where a lot of college students would be supporting Hamas. They're just against the war.
They're against whatever pisses their
parents off. Are they Vietnam? Or were they pro Viet Cong? Were they pro Viet Cong during the Vietnam protests? They must be supporting the Viet Cong. They're dirty communists. Well, I don't think that's what they're saying at all. They're just saying we shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be getting drafted into this war. That doesn't mean you support the radical elements of that side.
All right.
But see, this is the problem. This is why we have this issue. Is because the right will not acknowledge that there's a genocide happening.
I mean, it seems like attacking Israel for being Israel is the genocide. It seems like trying to erase them from the river to the sea, shaking them off like a dog shakes off fleas. It sure seems like the genocide is aimed at Israel. But then it's turned around and it's like, oh, genocide. Oh, yeah. Palestine. Oh, yeah. Genocide against us. Like, you fucking started it. What are you talking about?
It's awful. 10-7, and I've pointed that out. Yeah, 10-7 attacks are obviously horrific. And like I said, I've had my sympathy and support for Israel after the attacks. Let's go after Hamas. But then when they start going after and destroying tens of thousands of civilians, and they're starving them out and they're committing war crimes, that's when I have a problem with Israel. And a lot of these people, campuses, again, they just want the violence to stop. They're pro-peace, but then they're being falsely labeled as they're pro-Hamas, which definitely really hurts the argument.
Do you think that we need snipers on campus to further deter protests?
Absolutely not. That's insane. And this is where I have a problem with the right. They are overreacting to their own manufactured anti-Semitism. They're acting like this.
Wait, hold on. You think that this is manufactured, that the right created all these Jewish-hating protests on campuses?
That they're falsely calling these people anti-Semitic. And that they're using it
in the most obvious way. They are, Blake. In the most obvious way.
No. These are peace protests. That doesn't mean that they're anti-Israel or that they want to commit genocide against the Jews. So that's where I have a big problem with it. It's not being honest.
Well, a lot of them feel exactly as described. And denying that element is in this group or steering this group, I think that's dishonest. But who's saying we need snipers on campuses?
Well, of course, you don't want to see that because that is going to be a thing. So they have some of these encampments where it's showing all these matching green tents where we, see that there's obviously elements that are taking over. And there are, some of these are going to be funded. You're going to have George Soros. I don't believe that he was in there from the very beginning, but at some point these things start taking a hold and the bad elements are going to jump in and to hijack the movement, exactly like Occupy. I was part of that movement too. It was a bunch of different people that were all just outraged against the establishment, against the crooks on Wall Street or the Federal Reserve. And then eventually they were taken over by the Democrats, and then they chased everybody else out and took it for themselves. And then the movement fell apart. So you're going to see something similar to this. They're going to be able to latch onto this. But we can go, both ways on this one. So like people are criticizing Governor Abbott for heavy-handed tactics at Austin. But then you look, this is crazy. So you see where his loyalties are. He's swearing allegiance to a foreign apartheid state, and that the students are under occupation. Obviously, this is...
Man, that is a lot of spin and propaganda, Blake. All these buzzwords, apartheid, genocide. It's like, you might as well be out there at these protests. Like, that is such a heavy-handed spin that you put when it's a law and order place like Florida or Texas or Abbott or DeSantis, whoever you want to point at. I mean, they're trying to stop the shit from getting out of control, and then it's like heavy-handed. Well, I don't understand how we choose the term heavy-handed. Oh, they got attacked and 1,000 people butchered. They're too heavy-handed in their response. It's like, if you butcher my family, there's no hand heavier than what you're about to see. Like, of course it's heavy-handed. You started shit. You don't want none, don't start none. So I actually don't fully understand what it means to go to the Wailing Wall and do that thing. I don't like it. It seems weird to me. It's a custom, it's a thing. There's some significance to it. I'm just weirded out by kissing a wall. And is that allegiance, or is it something respect? Or, I'll claim ignorance on that, but I wouldn't want to do it. I would feel like that would be bullying me into doing something. I don't like, like bowing down and kissing feet or shining shoes or whatever that thing is, but I don't fully understand it. The Wailing Wall.
Well, it's fine. I have an issue with the Wailing Wall, but it's like, if you're going to be taking orders from a foreign nation, that's where people are starting to wonder. So is this part of that whole crackdown here? And then you have Bibi Netanyahu basically making that plea to stop the protests. And then Abbott does it. And then you go, oh, well, Abbott was over there. So who is getting his allegiance to? And a lot of these politicians are getting paid lots of money from Israel, whether it's through the ADL or AIPAC or what have you. And it makes you wonder. So, and then some people think Hamas attack was an Israeli false flag attack. I've been on that as well, saying that Bibi Netanyahu perhaps let the guard down, and that they've wanted Hamas all along. They want these radical nutbags. That way they don't have to, recognize them, or they can crack down on them. And you've got Netanyahu, who is extremely corrupt. And he's been sitting around there for like 20 years. Yeah, he was back in the day, part of the whole, WMD's, hoax from Iraq. And he's never gone away. I've called him Israeli Cheney. I think that's fitting. He's a corrupt warmonger. People are trying to get him out of office. He won't go. And all of a sudden they have this surprise attack. And now he's got more power than ever. And now he's calling for a stop to, these protests. Not only that, but
hold on. Really, pause right there for 1 second, though. That Bibi was behind the attacks. It's been half a year now. Do we have, is there any evidence, or this is just, I'm going to launch an accusation, and if they can't prove that they didn't do it, they must have done it? It's been half a year. There should be communications. Right. There should be whistleblowers on the inside. We were told to stand down. I haven't seen a single one of those stories, but you keep saying that Bibi was behind the attack.
It's possible, yes, because
But is it likely? And do we have any?
No, because Brian, we've talked about this many times. They were warned by multiple different countries that they're planning an attack.
Yes. The screen froze.
It's almost as if it was allowed. You didn't. What I have been calling from the very beginning, saying that there has to be a full investigation into the 10/7 attacks before we go any further with this escalations and tensions over there in the Middle East. I would not trust Netanyahu. And now he's got the International Criminal Court. They're trying to investigate the attacks and Israel's military assault on Gaza. And now they've saying, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said on Friday, any decisions by the ICC, International Criminal Court, which is investigating their attacks, would not affect Israel's actions, but would set a dangerous precedent. So he says, under my leadership, Israel will never accept any attempt by the ICC to undermine Israel's right to defend itself. So this decision by the court in The Hague will not affect Israel's actions. Got another one. Yes, Israel concerned over possible ICC arrest warrants related to the Gaza war. So yes, Israel voicing their concern again about the ICC preparing to issue arrest warrants.
And Israel doesn't recognize the ICC, and it's
right. So that could be obviously problematic. Let's run another clip here. If I can find it. How about this one? This is the U.S. government conducted a process, found these Israeli units have conducted gross violations of human rights, but they won't tell us who they are. Here's a spokesperson.
Found these units. So the U.S. government has conducted a process, found that these units have conducted gross violations of human rights. That sounds very serious, but you won't tell us what those violations were, who committed them, and you're going to continue to send weapons to them.
That is a process that is consistent with the standards that we have with other countries as well. You have to remember, Israel is a country in which we have a long-standing security relationship with.
I won't go on, but he just kind of goes on and on to talk about how, kind of running out the clock there. He doesn't want to talk about that. But yes, people are concerned about that. Why are we continuing to give these guys money? And should the ICC be involved? I would think so. Here, let's roll up another clip. Now, I'm kind of, skeptical. Destiny's one of the premier debaters here on the left. I don't usually always agree with, but I appreciate him, being willing to debate some of these major issues. But he puts this tweet out. It's got all kinds of links about the Israeli-Gaza war from various different outlets, whether it's AP, CNN, Al Jazeera, BBC, France, USA Today, Times of Israel. It talks about all the horrors that are going on right now. Israel-Gaza war, half of Gaza's population is starving, warns the UN. 40% of Gaza's population at risk of famine, hunger, starving, desperate humanitarian crisis, all kinds of things. Mass death is imminent. There's a lot of issues going on that are pretty alarming. Not to mention, you've got a lot of the things that were, again, one of the other things I talked about criticizing 10/7 is that they made up a bunch of stuff that was never confirmed. And even the Washington Post is now calling out to the New York Times previously for saying the mass rape story is basically a hoax. There's no proof of that. There was no proof of the 40 beheaded babies or babies thrown in ovens. So why would they make all that stuff up if they just got attacked by these monsters? So it's undermined their credibility and causes me to want to question this more. So I don't know, but I'll pull up another thing. There's so many, and we don't know how much time we have left here. So why don't I say this, Brian? There's another agree or disagree. How about the biggest snowflakes seem to be on the right, falsely calling student protesters as Hamas, in the exact same way the left used to call anti-lockdown protesters, or how about J6 protesters, anybody, the MAGA people, as Nazi, domestic terrorists.
That's a false equivalency. That's a completely false equivalency.
Right. So to say that the people on these campuses are pro-Hamas, because I've seen quite a bit of that.
Well, that's the
That's
true
okay?
part. Nobody
No,
in the
you think that's
Republicans, no MAGA supporters are Nazi fans. Like that's
Right.
literally not even a thing that exists in reality,
But some might be, right?
other than
Some
the
might
deep
be.
state putting it out there to harm the other side.
So you think that's
this
false?
is an anti-Israel, pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas, organized, astroturfed bullshit campaign mimicking what BLM did to riot across the cities in 2020.
So you don't think any of those are just organic grassroots, like we're just calling for peace, and then they were hijacked later by some bad elements, right? So you think that the majority of the people there are pro-Hamas. So you think it's okay?
There's
when
enough of them there.
Right-wingers are saying that these people are pro-Hamas or anti-Israel. You don't
There's
think
a
that's
war. There's only two sides. There's a war in two sides, and they're picking the ones that started the war. They're wearing the headdress. They're waving their flags. They're yelling Intifada. They're yelling, "We are Hamas." Like, yeah, that's
some
who they
people
are. They hate
you.
two boxers are fighting, and they're rooting for the one in these trunks. They're rooting for the ones that just launched the attack. Yes, I mean, I'm watching. We're watching the same thing, but we're seeing two different movies on the same screen somehow. I don't know how to reconcile that, but I mean, it's clear cut. There are two boxers, and they're picking that one. Anti-Israel, pro-Palestine.
Why can't they just
pro-Hamas,
protest for
pro-Gaza.
peace? No,
Two boxers.
that's where we have to agree to disagree, Brian. That is BS. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I agree with what they're saying here. For it's just like the leftists calling the Trump people Nazis or insurrectionists or whatever other slur they want to say is the exact same thing as when you get these right-wing people saying that these protesters are pro-Hamas, which I would say very few are actually pro-Hamas.
I don't know how you could claim that there's only very few. And what is very few? 1%? 30%? What is very few, and where do you get your numbers from?
I would say probably less than 5%.
As your guess, your hypothesis is
that would
less
be
than
my
5%
guess.
are
if you went and talked to these
actual terrorist
students. Right, but Hamas are basically a terrorist group.
No,
right?
not basically. Hamas is a terrorist organization.
Right. So what you think people are supporting the terrorists? You don't think they're there just to say, hey, there's a genocide going on. This is awful what's happening to innocent Palestinian people. You think that's pro-Hamas.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what I think. It's what I'm watching. Absolutely. I don't know what percentage, 5%, 50%. Who knows?
Well, what percentage would you say are actually pro-Hamas? I'm saying less than 5%. What would you say?
If the over-under is 6%, I'll take 6%. More than 5. Way more than 5.
Way more.
I don't know. I don't know what percentage. Okay. I don't spend every
I think
night.
A lot of people would be critical of Israel and their policy, and probably Netanyahu, of course. But would they actually be literally pro-Hamas? So I think ideally what you'd want to see is a whole new government for both sides. I'd love to see the end of the Netanyahu Likud party, and I'd also like to see the end of Hamas. And then both sides can have different governments come in, new elections. They're already calling for new elections over in Israel. There's big, massive, protests going on to have, recall Netanyahu. I don't think it's going to happen, obviously.
They're having them in Ukraine, too. They banned elections over there so Zelensky could stay on his gravy train.
So I think there's a major comparison there to be made. If and I put this tweet out, it all boils down to this. If the Biden supporters would stop, supporting Zelensky, but also the right wing to stop supporting Netanyahu, we could solve a lot of problems in this country overnight. But Brian, I see you as being, not that much different than, say, these, other people, because you don't seem to have much criticism for Netanyahu. You see this as a very one-sided affair.
If the United States pulled support from Israel, what do you think would happen?
Not necessarily Israel.
Well, I mean, you were talking about pulling support from Israel.
From Netanyahu and the Likud party, because not a lot of them don't want him over there either. It'd be like pulling support for the George Bush Cheney Rumsfeld administration. That doesn't mean I'm anti-American.
I don't know. I mean, we'll air all this stuff as it happens. I mean, it's an election season. It's April 30th.
Well, this is going to be a huge issue, and if the right isn't willing to come off of their, Israel can do no wrong, and Netanyahu is a great guy, then I mean, I
didn't see anybody say Israel can do no wrong and Netanyahu's a great guy. I didn't see any of that in any of the stuff we covered.
Okay, well,
none.
Does it seem like a lot of the right wing is zero awareness about this? Do you see a lot of criticism about Israel or Netanyahu? I don't. Why are they any different than the leftists that blindly support Ukraine and Zelensky? The leftists will give all their money. Yeah, they'll be happy to send taxpayer funds and prop up Zelensky and Ukraine. But the same thing with the right side. They'll be happy to give weapons to Israel and to blow up Palestinians and support Netanyahu.
Is there a clear-cut good
What's
guy in Ukraine, Russia, in your opinion? Like a clear-cut good team, bad team?
I would say in this, yes, I would say let those parts of Ukraine, Eastern, the Donbass and Crimea, let them be a part of Russia if they want to be a part of Russia. Why try to force them to be a part of that country where they don't feel like they are welcome there and they're treated terribly? So I would say that if they want to choose to be with Russia, they should let them and call an end to that war immediately. Stop giving them money.
And is there a clear-cut good guy, bad guy in Gaza?
I don't think so. These are both bad sides. Like I said, I'd like to see both governments changed. I would like to see, yes, Bibi step down. He should go to the ICC. He should be tried at The Hague. And I think, yeah, obviously Hamas need to be purged as well. I don't want to say, but they need to be purged. They're fucking terrorists. But then, Bibi, I'm sorry, he's also extremely corrupt, and he needs to be investigated for 10-7. And he should be tried for war crimes. I mean, he deserves to have a fair trial and see what they have on him. And he should be removed from power before he kicks off World War III. He has no authority to be telling our American leaders what to be doing.
Well, I think telling people what they're doing is just, he was calling back on this is exactly what happened prior to World War II. You took great offense to that. Like, oh, this guy's telling us what to do. It's like,
right.
He's pointing to history saying, guys, why are you letting this? It's the same. This is a sequel.
Meanwhile, yes, he's right. Well, he's committing massive war crimes over there in an occupation.
I don't know. I mean, in the middle of the war, having
hypocrisy,
having extreme clarity to determine what a war crime is in defense of your life and your country. I don't know that I can easily point at that and say what they're doing is. I mean, they're in a war that the other side started. And they're sick of getting attacked, and they are angry about it, and they want it done.
You don't think Well, you don't think the Palestinians are angry about being occupied and it's an apartheid state?
Well, why do you keep saying occupied? They can easily go to Egypt. Egypt's doing the same thing.
So they can easily all just move. Okay, well, so they're all just supposed to go to Egypt. Well, that's not Egypt's call. I don't want it. Why should they? Why should they have to leave their land? What do you mean? That's a ridiculous statement. Oh, they can just all leave their homeland and let Israel completely take over.
Well, I think they should.
You don't think that's unreasonable?
Neighbors nonstop. That's probably a better path forward.
Oh, so you think Israel treats them that well? So they're just what? They're living in peace and prosperity, and they're thriving, and they're just attacking for no reason.
Well, that is a good question. How many wars did Israel start on Palestine with their neighbors? How many were acts of aggression from Israel? Because I feel like it's always the other side starting it.
I feel like, Brian, I'm being intellectually honest and trying to look at it from both sides, and I feel you are 100% pro-Israel no matter what, without apology. I don't think
are there any times that Israel has attacked Palestine unprovoked, like what happened half a year ago? It seems like every time there's a confrontation, it's because they start shit. Every time.
I don't know enough about the history. Well, even if I don't know exactly if that's true or not, but there's been plenty of. It's kind of like when they're tightening things down over there, and they're making it impossible to coexist. And then when they lash out, then all of a sudden they get punished even more. So I don't know. I don't know if how it's fair to make that claim.
All right, there we have it. I don't know. It's a many thousands years battle that's raged on, and it's going to.
Well, no, it's about several decades, yeah, and then then there was a gap.
Years, like this stuff goes back to time immemorial.
Right, 2,000-3,000 years ago. Well, yeah, that wouldn't seem to be that. Well, was it run by the Ottoman Empire or Babylon or whoever under the Romans? Was it a big battle then? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the Israelites, the Hebrews, and the Philistines, or what have you, and of course the modern day Israel. Some of these people are Trotskyites from the Bolshevik Revolution, East European that had no ties to Israel. All of a sudden, they want to go claim those lands. That's created a conflict too.
You should check out that show I sent you on Telegram with John B. Wells going into the history. I mean, you and he are very aligned.
No, there's a lot of, I would say, me and most of the independent alternative media, Brian. You seem to be on the side of the neocons that are 100% Israel apologists for everything.
I call it as I see it.
No, you don't.
They were sitting there at a music festival and they got punched in the face and they're going ape shit. They kind of
criticized Israel for anything.
Huh?
Oh, never mind. Anyway, I got to go, Brian. I'm already past my time.
So I did give you the 90-minute heads up. I was trying to be as respectful to that time frame as possible. And
well, we didn't cover everything, but that's fine. Anyway,
if there's anything else, speech laws, snipers, death grip, had all of them queued up.
Well, I didn't get into the Mark Levin stuff, and I didn't get into the Zionist death grip. That was a report put out by Alex Jones and InfoWars. You can run it if you want to. It is a good video, and you can do your commentary. But I have to run. Good times
as well. But is this a short clip that I could play, or it's like a 30-minute?
Like 5 minutes. Yeah, go ahead and run it.
Okay.
Give your commentary on it, Brian. Why don't you, agree or disagree?
All right.
That's part of the docket.
Tell people where to find you again on your way out, sir.
TV's Blake Walley on Twitter and nextlevelnews.com.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Oh, we didn't get into Thomas Massey warning Congress they got to pass hate speech laws to outlaw criticism of Israel. Brian, I'd be curious to get your take on that. Should we outlaw hate speech? Is it hate speech? Any criticism of Israel?
I want to make that as a poll on X. No. I mean, you should be able to. No, I mean, all this hate speech stuff is crap. Yeah.
And then pro-Palestine protesters, should they be rounded up and deported?
Are they illegal aliens that broke into the country?
That's according to Mark Levin. Nope. I sent you all 3 articles on the private chat, and I got to run, but it's been a pleasure. All right, everybody. Take care.
To be continued. Thank you, Blake. Follow him on X at TV's Blake Walley and thenextlevelnews.com. No, I do not really have time to get into these stories. I don't really. Well, here, I'll just click it and pull it up. I'll see what he's saying. Maybe it's. I don't want to watch the video, but if it's typed, Zionist. No, it doesn't give me anything here. Here, I'll just share this on X and ask, do you agree or disagree with Alex? Please follow us at American_media_. Do you agree or disagree with Alex? No, I don't like what's going on. I like things calm. Things were calm until Biden came in. Thomas Massey is warning Congress warns that Congress is trying to pass hate speech laws to outlaw criticism of Israel. Now, I think Ronnie D did something like that. I just hate speech. Speech is protected. You don't need to protect pleasant speech. And there's a difference between threats. You make very specific, targeted threats. That's outside the realm of your free speech. Hate speech, like that's just air quotes, and that's all just smoke and mirrors. This is from Information Liberation. Congressman Thomas Massey called out his colleagues in Congress on Saturday for trying to pass hate speech laws to outlaw criticism of Israel. Some of my colleagues are introducing legislation to create a federally sanctioned anti-Semitism monitors at colleges. I'll vote no. Policing speech, religion, and assembly is not the role of the federal government. In fact, it's expressly prohibited by the U.S. Constitution. Representatives Richie Torres, Democrat, New York, and Mike Lawler, Republican, New York, plan to introduce the Columbia Act, a bill that would create anti-Semitism monitors at select colleges. Well, there's a bipartisan effort in Congress to equate criticism of the secular state of Israel to violence toward Jewish people in America. The latter is illegal and the former is protected speech, but it's a false equivalency is established. If a false equivalency is established, it will be forbidden to criticize Israel. Yeah. I don't like what DeSantis is doing in Florida to limit, it's just, so they're monitoring for and then they'd lose federal funding if they refused at any point to not go along with a scheme, they call it. Select colleges would have to pay for what amounts to an Israeli spy to monitor their campus. The spy would be appointed by the Secretary of Education in terms and conditions of the monitorship set by the Secretary. Expenses paid by the particular college or university selected. Okay, that's a shakedown. By the way, don't make any Jewish jokes about the college having to pay for that. Or make jokes, because jokes are allowed. Failure to comply with the monitorship would result in the loss of federal funds. Okay. So, Jewish advocacy groups told Congress that the spying law was needed first and foremost for the safety and security of Israel and the need to protect Jews in the U.S. Indeed, all Americans from terrorist threats. Well, what are you going to do with terrorist threats? You coddle them? You just allow them to run your school? Do you shut them down? Is this a second one from Information Liberation? Yeah, he had Mark Levin pulled up. We own this country. Mark Levin says pro-Palestine protesters should be rounded up and deported. Deport those who are here on student visas, arrest all others, and put out their names and photos so everyone knows who never to hire. Formerly a critic of cancel culture. Make sure they receive no student loan forgiveness or any other federal funds of any kind. They might be Hamas. We are red-blooded Americans. We own this country. They don't. Well, that's kind of conflating two things. If you're here illegally, I guess student visa being legal, but look at what's. Do you want Rashida Tlaib to be making policy decisions in this country? Do you want Ilhan Omar running this country? I mean, the people that come here should kind of be on Team America, not rooting for the other side, it seems like. So yeah, student protesters defy Columbia University's deadline to vacate campus or face suspension. Levin said that he calls pro-Palestine protesters the Hitler Youth, and he argued that the protests are just like the Third Reich. Well, I mean, it's not just like, hey, there should be peace. Like, what do you care about peace for against the people that went in and just butchered a music festival? What peace have they earned for starting a war? Kenneth says foodies use hate speech. Yeah, Guy Fieri uses hate speech. Garfield, I'm on a lasagna diet. No, I'm on a seafood diet. I see food and then I eat it. Kenneth, I BM on the BLM. Anyway. Ted Cruz says the ICC is on the verge of throwing in with genocidal terrorists and against a democracy responding to acts of terror. They want Israel to accept suicidal terms for a ceasefire that will not work. It would be the end of the ICC's credibility. And Levin says the ICC should be added to our terror list. Yeah, and by the way, the ADL can go to hell. They are a terrorist organization too. We should be allowed to have conversations. We should be allowed to talk. You know, when things go too far, where is too far? How far is too far? I don't know. Is that the question we've always been asking about freedom of speech in this country? Whether it's Two Live Crew putting out a nasty album. Was it Nasty as They Want to Be? What was it called? Two Live Crew. Was it as nasty as I Want to Be? Two Live Crew band album. Am I remembering it right? Oh, I guess it was just called Banned in the USA. No, Nasty as They Want to Be. Yeah, it was. As Nasty as They Want to Be in 1989. Then they did Banned in the USA. Okay, I was right. Anyway. All right. Well, that's about all I have for you today. I mean, connect with us in all the places. Patreon.com/The New American Media, YouTube.com/@The New American Media, Rumble, The New American Media, Telegram, TNAM and TNAM Chat, X @American_Media_, Facebook page, The New American Media, Facebook group, TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show, Instagram, The New American Media, Truth Social, The New American Media, Spotify, The Agree to Disagree Show, Odyssey. Odyssey is our backup for YouTube. So there are several videos that were deleted off YouTube, but they still live on Odyssey. So odyssey.com. Search The New American Media, hit subscribe. Oh, and Patreon. If you like what we're doing and want to buy us a cup of coffee, thank you again, Ken. Saw that today. Appreciate you a bunch. Your jokes and insight are appreciated in the show, by the way. So thank you. And if anyone else would like to buy us a cup of coffee or shoot us $1,000 a month on a reoccurring pledge on the Patreon platform, patreon.com/The New American Media. Appreciate you. And of course, thenewamericanmedia.com is getting the revamp. So I hope to have some special guests. Like I said, John Odermatt, he was with Lions of Liberty, and now he does, I think, a different podcast or two. And Adam Boyd, like I said, he's riding a bike. He's doing bicycle riding all through the 13 colonies, stopping at taverns and talking about liberty and freedom in advance of the election this year. So we're going to have him on the show. Going to try to start getting some guests back. So maybe Blake and I'll keep our show Tuesday, Thursday. Maybe I'll get guests different days. I got to check Mike Barra's schedule because we do share the studio of Ancient Aliens Fames. It's Tuesday, Ancient Alien Fame. It's Tuesday, so I believe Blake will be with Dr. Brooks Agnew and Mike Barra on Toxically Masculine Tuesday this evening, I believe around 9 o'clock. So check out that show and hit subscribe if you haven't followed them on that. So anyway, I'm going to sign out for now. It's a gorgeous day. Go get some of that beautiful vitamin D. Remember to live your life and not get black-pilled. Try to have some fun and laugh. Try to get out and enjoy what this world really is. Don't let the world bring you down. Not everyone here is that fucked up and cold. Remember why you came, and while you're alive, experience the warmth before you go. Or it's before you grow old. That's Brandon Boyd. Not Adam Boyd, the guy who I'm going to have on riding his bike. Brandon Boyd from the band Incubus from the song The Warmth off of the Make Yourself album. Great song. Maybe I'm going to listen to that right now as I download then upload the show and render it for distribution methods. Hit our Spotify podcast, please. We need more people subscribed on our podcast and more people following us on Rumble. So if you like what we're doing, share our information. I mean, Blake and I, we overlap on about 96% of all stories. He tends to side with, this whole Gaza thing. He sides with his side. I side with the side I side with. Organically, nobody's paying me. Nobody's telling me. I don't watch Fox, and I'm getting talking points from Mark Levin. I just you know, I understand there's a lot of complexity to it, and that's why I give Blake free reign on TNAM's The Agree to Disagree show to speak his mind. We will disagree, and it's okay. We can agree to disagree on it. This was one of our more polite agree to disagrees on that topic. But it's good. We don't want to be the sycophants and just repeating in an echo chamber the same exact thing, because people will have different perspectives. And look, a lot of the people complaining about the state of Israel as it was constructed in 48 or 47, 48, as it is now, and policies and wars, like there's a range of opinions that I can understand. I can appreciate the perspective if I don't agree with it. We have to have more conversation, not less. But when it becomes painfully obvious that threats of, violent acts happening and threats of violence and future, you have to take people seriously when they tell you, from the river to the sea, we have to intifada and shake this thing off like Taylor Swift, get rid of Israel once and for all, wipe it off the face of the map, as Hamas says, as Hezbollah says. You got to kind of trust them at their word. They will never settle on a two-state agreement. They will never go to Camp David with Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or George Bush Jr. and settle and just go, yes, thousands-year-old blood feud. Let's just call it a day. We should get along. The Arab world will never accept that. So you're left with two choices. Should they be allowed to stay where the state currently sits, or should they be erased? I don't know what compromise there is between being allowed to exist in the space you have or having to go and be destroyed. And that's Blake's argument with Palestine. It's like, well, they can go to Egypt. They can go somewhere. Well, they should leave. Well, they won't stop fighting their neighbors. What, they're going to stay? I can also appreciate Adam Carolla talking about it in his book. I've watched a couple episodes, and he's brought it up once or twice. And in his book, he talks about having a college roommate. Guy's crazy and won't stop trying to start shit. And you wake up one day, and he's got a butcher's knife at the end of the bed, 4 a.m, standing over top of you. And it's like, well, the friend hears the story and goes, oh my God, that's awful. You need to get out of there. And the guy's like, well, why should I leave? Why should I be the one to leave? He's the crazy one. He's the one with the butcher knife. He's the violent one. Make him go. I put my security deposit down. I don't want to lose my security deposit. It's like, at some point, get the fuck away. Just go. But what right do terrorists have to force other people to leave their land? And I can understand if you're siding with the Palestinian side on this. I get it. But if you are going to agree with that side, aren't you then saying that the same thing should happen in America? Another group should come in and take over America because of XYZ years ago, a couple hundred years ago, things were this way, and there you have it. I've heard this argument play out, and I think it was a PragerU 60-second, 30-second ad that as I was scrolling and watching something. They were talking about South Dakota. That land was taken from the United States from a South Dakota tribe, and that should there be payment for land taken? It's like, well, to who? Well, that group was there before them. All right, before who? The U.S. took it. So before the U.S. took it, there was a group. All right. Well, wait a minute. Before that group, wasn't there another group? Oh yeah, there's a different Indian group. Wait, but then they took it from them? Yep. Okay. Wait, but did you know that they took it from yet a different Indian tribe? So it's like land is always kind of fluid. And if you accept that Israel wasn't ratified by the United Nations in 1948, they have no right to be there. The same colleges, the same professors, the same rabble-rousers are going to be saying that the United States has to be given to another group because somebody was here before a arbitrarily defined line where someone threw a dart and hit a number on a board. That is a really slippery slope argument that I don't like. I don't like that argument. And for that reason, I tend to kind of side with, well, look, we have Abraham Accords. Oh, man, I swear. I mentioned Abraham Accords. It's kind of like garlic or silver bullets to Blake. He's like, oh, you can't say the Abraham Accord. Oh, like they were so great. Yeah, there were years of peace. And I liked years of peace. And I liked Trump, who negotiated years of peace through the Abraham Accords. Until those assholes went and butchered 1,000 people. And I'm not losing a bunch of sleep going after those 1,000 people. Yeah, but genocide. Yeah, but, innocence. Yeah. War sucks, and I'm against war. That's why you shouldn't start one. And the people who are getting punched right now are the ones that started a war. I don't know. I woke up in a world where that country was a country. And I just don't understand the point of going backward to try to undo that at the cost of... I'm just not buying what Hamas is selling. So if you think that's a lousy opinion, make your point. Leave your comment. This is an ongoing conversation. We can agree to disagree on any one of these topics and go from there. Can't take the Minnesota out of Blake. What's that all about? War, the rock group, on the other hand. Huh. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again now. War. What is? That'd be hilarious if YouTube took this video off because I was singing war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again now. Anyway, I'm signing out. I appreciate you. We'll be back on Thursday. Check out the live feed to see if things pop in between, because I have some special guests I'm going to be bringing on. And hopefully sometime soon we'll have some news for you. Fingers crossed about some coverage that we're going to do a little bit later in this year. Fingers crossed. If this goes through, it'll be really neat. If not, I'll not let it bother me too much. But good things on the horizon here at the New American Media. We appreciate you spending some time with us, and we hope you feel heard today. Love your comments. Keep them coming. All right, we'll talk to you later. Special thanks to Blake Walley. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.